本日はお忙しい中、JIINイスラエルフィンテックウェビナーミートアップにご参加いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。司会のイスラエル大使館経済部根本と申します。本ウェビナーはイスラエル大使館経済部、ジェトロ、金融庁、フィンテック協会の協力のもと、日本、イスラエルのフィンテック分野での専門家をご紹介するとともに、バックオフィスに有用なソリューションをテーマに、イスラエルのスタートアップ企業をご紹介いたします。また、ウェビナーの後に質疑応答のできるミートアップのお時間を用意しております。それでは、これよりセミナーを開始するにあたりまして、共催させていただいたジェトロ、対日投資部 DX 推進チーム主幹、宮尾正弘様よりご挨拶を賜りたいと思います。それでは、宮尾様、よろしくお願いします。
はい、皆様、こんにちは。ジェトロ対日投資部 DX 推進チーム主幹、宮尾と申します。主催者を代表いたしまして、一言ご挨拶をさせていただきます。この度はイスラエル大使館経済部様、イスラエル輸出国際協力機構様主催により、また金融庁様、フィンテック協会様のご協力いただき、このような会合ができて大変嬉しく思っております。私がご挨拶させている理由を一言皆様にご説明しますと、実は私どもジェトロでは、イスラエルと日本の産業界のオープンイノベーションを促進するネットワーク、JIIN、JIIN と書いて JIIN と言いますが、これの事務局をやらせていただいています。JIIN はこれまで経済産業省様やNEDO、新エネルギー産業技術総合開発機構様、経団連様、日本同友会様、日本商工会議所様、新経連様等々連携しながら、これまでデジタルヘルスやスマートシティ、またグリーンテックのセミナーやピッチ、マッチングなどのイベントをさせていただいてきました。で、今回はフィンテックになります。フィンテックに関しては昨年度9月にも類似のウェビナーを大使館様が されていました。このような日本企業とイスラエル企業のいわゆるオープンイノベーションの促進をさせていただくということで、私ども取り組んでおります。またもう一つ、ご説明したいのが、私どもジェトロという組織、自体もですね、JIINの取り組みとはまた別にですね、ASEAN やインド、イスラエルも含めてですね、日本企業と海外スタートアップの協業連携を進める取り組み、J ブリッジ、ジャパンイノベーションブリッジという仕組みを作り出しました。これは当然イスラエルも重要なパートナー国だというふうに考えておりまして、まだ始まったばかりでございます。この2月に始めたばかりでございますが、この4ヶ月間、何らかの企業様と、日本の企業様と、海外のテクノロジーベースの企業様を結びつけるような取り組みをしてまいりました。このような背景がございまして、この度、イスラエル大使館経済部様主導で行われるフィンテックウェビナーの方にもご協力をさせていただいているところでございます。ご承知の通り、コロナ禍のこの社会において、仮想通貨であるとか、オンライン決済だとか、このようなそのフィンテック技術の有用性、もしくはそのニーズが高まっております。一方で、高いセキュリティ技術や AI、そういうようなものの活用が大事になってきております。イスラエル企業では、このような技術を持ったスタートアップがいろんなソリューションを提供していると聞いております。まさにこういうような技術を皆様方にご紹介し、日本企業との協業連携、こういうものを進めていくことが、JIINの取り組みの一環でもありますし、私が所属するジェトロの目的でもございます。本日のウェビナー、およびミートアップが皆様方の次のビジネスのステップにつながるよう、またこれが有意義なものになることを祈願してやめません。今日は最後まで皆様方、どうぞご視聴いただくようよろしくお願いいたします。ありがとうございました。
宮尾様、ありがとうございました。それでは、基調講演に移らせていただきたいと思います。まずはじめに、イスラエルエクスポートインスティテュート、ヘッドオブフィンテックセクター、リオラ・バザルスキーより、イスラエルのフィンテックセクターについてお話しいただきます。リオラさん。はい。
Hello, Saguro-san.
Hi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining this webinar. Just 1 second. . All right. I wanted to speak to you today and to present to you the Israeli fintech ecosystem in a nutshell. Please, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them after the presentation. So I would like to show you a short overview and what's been going on in the last year in the fintech sector in Israel. As you probably know, we have a very small country, but with with a lot of international companies presence and investment entities, incubators, and government in Tel Aviv, especially in Tel Aviv area located. So we have over 350 multinational companies presented in Israel. Many academia, 5 universities, all of that is helping the Israeli startup ecosystem, and of course it's helping Israeli ecosystem in fintech. We at the Israeli Expert Institute help Israeli companies to find business opportunities around the world. We do that by presenting in various exhibitions around the world, meetings and roadshows, dedicated B2B events, of course, roundtables and webinars such as today. A little bit of fintech in numbers. So there are currently over 500 fintech companies active in Israel, which 80% of them, or about 80% of them, are located in Tel Aviv financial hub area. And most of the companies are less than 10 employees. Of course, over the last year, we saw a lot of companies growing very, very fast and becoming unicorns. And we will talk about that in a little bit further. So the Israeli fintech really started with Citibank launching its first fintech accelerator program in 2014. And the Israeli fintech companies started to participate in this multinational presence, in the multinational companies that are present in Israel, and really testing their financial technologies with MasterCard when it's opened its innovation center, Yahoo and Barclays, and many more. Nowadays we have Sompo from Japan. They have a big innovation hub in Tel Aviv, cooperating with many Israeli insurtech companies. So it's been a great program and very beneficial for the Israeli companies. So before an Israeli startup even goes to the market abroad, it can work with representatives from Barclays or from Yahoo or Citibank or many other financial institutions in Israel, and it serves as a beta site, and it's been proven to be very successful for the fintech companies before they go abroad and scale up. And this is just a short overview to show you the financial multinationals presence in Israel. So we have insurance, banking, payment giants, and other companies. We had in the fintech in Tel Aviv, in Israel, a very strong 2020 year, despite of COVID. The equity raised was relatively bigger than the years before. So overall, fintech raised over $6 billion on the past 6 years. And only in 2020, it was 1.7, and 2021 is supposed to be even bigger based on the first quarter. We had 5 mega rounds, meaning each round for these companies were more than $100 million. Porter and Next Insurance, Tipalti, those are the names that you're probably familiar with. Last year, there was one IPO announced by Lemonade, and this year we already have Payoneer that went, that did an IPO, that announced IPO last week, the completed IPO last week, sorry. We have many unicorns established last year. and even a few new names that have been added this year. So this is a Israeli fintech map in a nutshell. We are very strong in payments technologies such as Rapid, Pioneer, Melio, trading and investment, Pagaya, eToro, lending and financing, a little bit smaller names. Blue Vine is a very successful company. Fundbox, BeHalf, InsurTech, as I've mentioned. Earnix became a unicorn with a valuation over $2 billion. Very interesting company. Atidot, Plank Insurance. We have, of course, very strong fintech and anti-fraud sector, blockchain, personal planning, customer engagement. I believe it will be very interesting for you today to meet the companies that even if that they're not very big, they're already working around the world and have many clients and helping companies to be more successful and more innovative. Thank you.
リオーラさん、ありがとうございました。それでは、イスラエル企業のピッチへと移らせていただきたいと思います。まず、ノーコードシステム開発プラットフォームを提供する EasySend 社の、シュロモ・アミールさん、よろしくお願いします。シュロモさん、the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Siguro-san. I will just share immediately my screen. And I hope it's now, I will put it in presentation mode, of course. Can you please confirm that we are good?
Yes, great.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Today, my name is Shlomo Amir, and I'm from EasySend. EasySend is an Israeli startup, of course, dealing with customer journey, digital customer journeys. We aim to transform all engagement that is many cases still today in Japan and worldwide based on either a PDF or even paperwork. And we aim to transform it to a digital engagement like the Uber or Airbnb engagement that we are all used to. So how do we do that? We have built a platform. It's a no-code platform. That means you don't need to create digital processes with actually software programmers, but you can do it dynamically and intuitively, like you create a PowerPoint presentation with our platform. Of course, many features there are integrated and are very sophisticated, but they are still presented to the user in such a way that intuitively, after a very short training, he can build a complete new digital engagement in a matter of days. For many companies who have today already many PDF forms, and in many cases it's hundreds and thousands, we enable very easy transformation. We can, using our platform, we can scan the PDF, identify automatically most of the features of the PDF, like the sections, the headers, the type of fields. The user can still, of course, modify, correct things, and finally have a digital experience out of this PDF form. So again, he can just start with his existing PDF and transform it very easily to a digital process, or he can build a completely new process from scratch with or without a PDF, just accordingly as he needs. So the benefits, of course, are tremendous. First of all, it's really a matter of days to create a new process. And any of you who was involved in digital process creation knows that in a traditional way, which is coding, it takes really months and costs a lot of money, and in most of the cases, when you need corrections and updates, it's really painful. So we replace all of this with an easy-to-use, very quick and effective tools that can be used by the business people, not the IT people necessarily. What business processes can you transform using our platform? Basically anything. Today, we have initially addressed a very demanding market segment, the insurance market and the financial services, but actually any company which have either external, meaning customer facing, or even internal business processes can use our platform. And just for example, in Israel, even IKEA, which everybody knows, or TSIM, which is the shipping company of Israeli, use our platform to digitize and operate those digital processes. So basically, it's anything, and more than that, you build it once, and it is adaptable automatically to any platform your customer uses. It could be his laptop, it could be his pad, or it could be his cell phone. So you don't have to do anything specific. By the platform, automatically the process will adapt itself to address this process. So after the process is built and loaded into the cloud, the way to operate, you have many different ways. You can embed a link to the process within your website, or your customer representative can send it manually, the link, to the customer using either an SMS or even an email. After the customer receives it, he opens the link, he fills in all the fields that are required. He can inline upload any attachments like ID card, etc., and sign, if necessary, the claim or the application or whatever it is. At the end of the process, then it is moved back to your organization, both as data, metadata, and as PDF, signed PDF if necessary. The experience is completely customized to your branding, so the user does not know that you used another platform, but it is your platform. So in a nutshell, you can build or transform your processes. It is fully integrated into your IT infrastructure, core system, CRM, like Salesforce.com, intuitively. And based on the data we provide you, you can optimize the process so you can quickly increase the engagement and increase the final outcome of this process. So my last point is we have today only one customer in Japan, and they reached us actually using the innovation center they have in Israel. And now it's a big customer visit, but the first ones, and we are certainly aiming as of now to engage further in Japan and expand our activities. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you a very interesting day.
Thank you very much, Shlomoさん。次に、顧客データ管理、分析ソリューションを提供する、K2 ビュー社より、サンダル・アイエさん、よろしくお願いします。サンダルさん。ありがとうございます、Suguroさん。And thank you very much, everyone, for this opportunity. I am just about to share my slides, and I shall put it in presentation mode. So once again, thank you for this opportunity to present to you today. My name is Sundar Iyer, and I'm based here in Melbourne in Australia, and I lead K2View's go-to-market efforts across Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Prior to COVID, I was a very regular visitor to Japan, and now that I'm fully vaccinated, I'm looking forward to coming back when the borders open again. So K2View was founded in 2009, and our mission is to help enterprises succeed with their data. And at the core of our offering
is a operational data fabric. It enables our Fortune 10 and our Fortune 1000 clients to deliver a real-time view of customer and business data to any consuming application, while simplifying the underlying technology and data landscape. We have a proven track record of over 10 years, and we've been doubling revenues consistently year on year. We're VC backed and we're profitable. We partner with system integrators and customers to ensure success for all parties, and we wish to partner with you for success in Japan. To understand the problem that we're solving, I'd like first to go through a little bit of history. And this is a problem that has been in the making for over 3 decades, because we're all guilty, including myself, of building lots and lots of applications. Every business problem required a new application, and this was very much an application-centric approach, as we call it. And it's very easy to build a new application or buy a new application. And now large enterprises have thousands of applications. Some banks that I've spoken to have over 10,000 applications. Telcos that I've spoken to have between 6,000 to 12,000 applications. So these are very expensive to run and maintain, and it makes change very hard. K2V's approach is to simplify these things. So how do we go about doing this? So previously, on the left-hand side here, we have lots of different types of applications, and they are fragmented and they are in silos, and change is hard with this. So then there was a move to moving things over to this more data-centric approach, and this data-driven approach, which was using data lakes and data warehouses. However, with these data lakes and data warehouses are good for machine learning and business intelligence applications, but they're not so great for real-time applications. And so we saw a gap in the market, and we have built a system to help you organize your data for real-time impact. So essentially, what we do is that we organize the data through something called a digital entity. And the digital entity can be any person, place, or thing. And by organizing it this way, we can deliver data to consuming applications in real time. The response times are sub-second, and we can distribute this over massive scale. So what this allows us to do is to support many different types of use cases, from customer 360 through to operational intelligence. So think of real-time credit scoring, for example, for privacy, such as for Japan's new privacy law, the APPI law, for IT modernization and cloud enablement, as well as data privacy management, as I mentioned. So a couple of examples are here. So here is an example with global payments. So in global payments, we are managing 2.5 billion credit card transactions a day, and each of those credit cards is stored as its own digital entity, secure digital entity. And we are helping them to tokenize the credit card information and do real-time fraud detection on these transactions. And this has been deployed to Google Cloud. However, we can actually deploy to any type of cloud. Another example here is with Segot, which is an Israeli bank. And here at Segot, we are helping, customers used to not have a real-time view of their transactions in their online accounts. However, with our system, by ingesting data from multiple types of data sources, and we make the data ingestion very easy, we're able to provide their customers a real-time view of their records. So we now have a holistic real-time view of their customers across multiple data sources. So in closing, if you want a trusted, holistic, and real-time view of your customers and business data, please talk to us. And I'd like to also acknowledge Kenji Yonekawa-san for helping me translate these slides. Thank you so much indeed.
サンダルさん、ありがとうございました。Thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。
それでは次に、スマホキーボード埋め込み金融サービスを提供するペイキー社より、デイビッド・モクタルさん、よろしくお願いします。デイビッドさん、floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, and hi everyone. I'll just share my screen. Just let me know that you can see it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is David, and I'm the Director of Partnerships in Peiki. Peiki is a company which brings embedded banking solutions for banks and financial institutes. We've been around since 2014. We have offices in Tel Aviv, Tokyo. We also have here today with me Taguchi-san, which is managing our Tokyo, our Japanese activity, also Singapore, New York. We have a patented technology, which I will elaborate soon, that already serves more than 20 banks around the globe, including Standard Chartered Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and some other countries of SC. BTPN in Indonesia, and some more valuable partners of ours that you can see here. We've also recently partnered with Finastra, which made our technology available for more than 350 banks in the United States. And among our investors, you can find the SBI Group, Magma, Misma, and others. So as I mentioned, the embedded banking, I think that, what we can see today is that the customers more and more engage with financial services in a non-financial environment. So if we take, for example, the buy now, pay later, when you purchase in a shop or online and you get a consumer financing service, companies like Shopify, which give financing offers to SMBs, or social platform like Line or WhatsApp or others that give access to their consumers to financial services in a very non-financial environment in their daily activities. And what happens is that the bank are no longer the go-to place for consumers when consuming financial services. They expect to be served differently in an embedded way into their daily lives. So banks are essentially pushed aside and consumers go elsewhere to manage and to engage with your daily financial activities. So at Peiki, with our technology, we aim to put the banks back at the forefront, enabling them to embed financial services in their customer daily lives, in their natural environments, and most importantly, in the point when the customer wants it and needs it. The way we do that is via our unique platform, which enables the bank to embed these services, such as the payments, on-demand salary, SMB services, and some others. And with one-time and very simple integration to our platform, the bank can choose one or both of our solution. One is the mobile banking keyboard, which provide instant access to banking services in any social or any mobile application. And the other one is the earned wage access solution, which enables the bank to provide customers with instant access to their earned income before payday. So this is just a view of our banking keyboard. It's a mobile keyboard where the bank or any financial institute can put on top of it any financial services like peer-to-peer payment, bill payment, and others that you can see over here. And the second one is the earned wage access, as I mentioned, which gives customers of the bank, but not only, also customers which do not have a bank account at the bank, gives access to their earned wages, the money that they've already worked for before payday. And what we can see globally is that both our solution increase substantially the engagement of the customer with the bank and its services, which results in more revenue and obviously clear and positive ROI. So if we look at our banking keyboard solution, we can see that the stickiness of this solution results in 35% more engagement by consumer. These are stats that we have from our clients, 30% increase in payment transfers, increasing mobile app downloads, brand engagement, and more. And as for the earned wage access solution, you can see that it's basically a new channel of revenues for the bank, whether it's direct fees, and here you can see simulation based on 350,000 employees, which can generate 21 million annually. And in addition, the stickiness and engagement of this solution also enables new upsell and cross-sell opportunities for the banks, such as private loans for all clients, personal saving accounts, new customer acquisition, and more. So thank you very much, and I welcome you to join us in the breakout room to ask any question. And thank you for organizing this event. Have a good day.
デイビッドさん、ありがとうございました。Thank you so much, デイビッドさん。
Thank you very much.
それでは次に、日本フィンテックセンター長、副島豊さん、アクセル CEO ファウンダー、モシェ・タミール氏の対談に移らせていただきたいと思います。また、こちらのモデレーターは、兵部イスラエル大使館経済部経済講師、ダニエル・コルバーが務めさせていただきます。それでは、副島さん、モシェさん、ダニエルさん、よろしくお願いします。
こんにちは、皆さん、こんにちは。Thank you, Skuru-san. And I'm very happy to be joined here today with Soejima-san and Moshe Tamir-san. Good, hello. Very good. With the viewers, we have currently 95 people, so that's excellent as well. Very grateful for everyone's participation and our partners and Israeli companies presenting. So this is a bit of a break, and we'll have 3 more companies pitching after that, and then we'll split into the breakout room. So without further ado, Soejima-san, we're very happy to have you, head of the Fintech Center and Deputy Director General of the Payment and Settlement Systems Department in the Bank of Japan. Soejima-san is currently engaged in CBDC and other payment systems innovations. So welcome. And Moshe Tamir-san is founder and managing director of Axell Business Innovation Builder in financial services for the 21st century, based in Tel Aviv, Israel. Previously, Moshe was global head of digital transformation at Generali, one of the world's largest insurance companies. And prior to that, Moshe was deputy CEO and CMO of Migdal Insurance, Israel's largest insurance company. Again, very happy to have you here. So, Soejima-san, first question to you. You have vast experience in research covering financial markets, bank supervision, macro prudence, financial engineering, risk management, payment and settlement system, and economic development. How do you perceive Japan's fintech scene and digital transformation in financial business in general?
Thank you, David. First of all, it is my great pleasure to join the workshop. And for the first question for Daniel, I think that there are the 2 sides. The one side is the startup company provides a good promoting power, leading power of the Japan's fintech scene. And the second one is the traditional the corporate sector. There are 2 type of the fintech services. First one is the many startup company try to the product out of the new services. There's a complete service for the customer, mainly for customer. And the part of some new company focus on the corporate sector. And the second one is the providing the parts of some businesses under the new digital economy. There are many technology updating the operational way of the businesses. For example, the identification, certification, and securities, and the open API connected to exchange information. So many the fintech company are providing their new services to the traditional corporation sector. In addition, the traditional firms made a lot of effort for the DX, digital transformation of their businesses. Then the two sides. The first side is using the technology for the cost, improve the cost efficiency. But the approach has a limit because there is a limit for the cost shrinking. And the second, the trial is more important than the first one. That is the creative to create the new businesses using the technology that require the reform or redesign or invent their new services. So the later one is very important for the collaboration with the Japanese fintech scene. That's all of my impression of current Japanese fintech scene.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. Moshe, over to you in Tel Aviv. Tell us a little bit about Israeli fintech. What or global, I would say. What are the key trends in technology that you are identifying, and specifically in Israel?
Yeah. So first, thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be here. I think when you look at some of the trends, I mean, they are very much global. Israel have some technology capability to respond to some of those changes and some of those trends. You've seen some of the companies, and you've seen later on today some of the solution. If we look very, very broadly on what we call fintech or financial services, I usually like to split them into banking, wealth and asset management, and we can call it insurance. As the top business needs that at the end technology answer for that. On the banking, the major trend that we are seeing is the move for banking as a service, where platforms have much more capability to offer transparency and connectivities, and with all open banking and open APIs trends that we see around different countries around the world, driven by regulation, those banking as service solutions will continue to grow and growing. The old approach of what we call the consumer trend of buy now, pay later, we think that these trends will grow as a business need, and then later on the implications on technology and solutions that will have to manage these consumer trends will continue to grow. The other trend that we're seeing, again, everything is driven from the business, then technology need to respond. Then the other one is the whole move to cryptocurrency and the whole blockchain embedded into global networks and tokenization and the blockchain and the ability to introduce the majority of transaction in a small period of time. This is a trend that definitely impact the whole banking system and will definitely have implication on the tech. Very quickly on the insurance side, we are seeing three major trends. One is really the transitions from a very traditional insurance categories into a little bit more advanced. So if in the past we used to insure car, now we have to insure our drones. If we used to insure a home, today we have all of our own connected with IoT devices, which puts completely new challenges. If in the past insurers have to insure against natural disasters, today they have to insure against cybersecurity. If in the past people have to insure professional liability, today with the whole sharing economy, we are seeing a major trend to ensure those new categories. So the ability to supply on-demand insurance for those services will be a big trend. The second one on the insurance is the whole move from what we call protection to prevention. If traditional role of the insurer was to protect the client or the business from a catastrophe, now insurers taking much more significant role on the prevention side. And this is enabled by very powerful AI and digital health solutions. And when we look at the wealth and asset management space, we're seeing a major generational wealth transfer. Still, most of the money, most of the assets are managed by the 50+ population, which might be considered more traditional way that are using the private banker. But we are seeing more and more move into the robo-advice solutions. And the second pillar, which is the whole asset democratizations. And if in the past, a very complex products were sold only by private banker for large accounts, today enabled by technology, they are taking those assets and democratizes companies like eToro that you heard from Israel or others, or Liquidity, that have found a solution to democratize the whole asset management. So at the end, I mean, when we look at banking, insurance, and wealth and asset management, the trends that are driven by business are answered by technology. And across all of them, what we are seeing is a major shift in the role of the financial advisor or the role of the insurance agent, where traditionally we're very much built on supplying data, very basic data and aggregating in data, and their new role in the new world is completely changing into empower them to give more personal advice, empowered by technology. So this is really, in a nutshell, a couple of the trends that we are seeing that technology needs to answer for them.
Thank you. Certainly, you mentioned insurance, and prevention is better than the cure. That's obviously true. I think that merges the trends that you mentioned with regards to insurance. When talking about Japan, also are coupled with open innovation trends. So Japanese companies looking abroad for solutions more today than ever before, and quite some insurance companies also looking at Israel. Sompo Digital Labs were mentioned by one of the companies before. Obviously, their team is very active, and now soon we'll see Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance also opening a lab, and so there's a lot of activity in that. And you yourself also have experience working with a Japanese insurance company, right? So tell us a little bit about it, Moshe, and then from there maybe we'll go to Japan, Israel, doing business.
Yeah, so we have the pleasure to work with Dai-ichi Life insurance company, working with them and representing them on the ground here in Israel. And it's been fascinating for me working with the Japanese companies over the last year and a half, that traditionally when you think there are so big gaps culturally between Japan and Israel, and I'm not talking about tech, and I'm not talking only about fintech, it's completely different mindset. Israel is a much more entrepreneur, problem solver country that have to survive and have to reinvent itself over the last 70, 80 years, while Japan has been there for hundreds and decades, very strategically planning, very well organized. And it's so interesting to see how the two countries and the two cultures can contribute when it comes to open innovation. So taking the assets that are very, very well founded in the Japanese culture, in the Japanese business, and enable them to collaborate with a much more hectic Israel problem-solving environment, I think create a lot of great opportunities, and especially in areas where you're combining very powerful technologies from the Israeli space, either from mobility, from the digital health, from the AI space, and empowering the Japanese well-funded companies in that space. So that's the experience I have so far. It's really, for me, it's a great experience, and I'm thankful for that.
Very good. Thank you for that. Back to you, Sejima-san, and back to banking, and specifically corporations. Obviously, Japan is known for being very good at scaling up and big corporations. And we mentioned corporations are now trying to innovate more than ever. So in the financial world, what do you think corporations should prioritize? What should they be focusing on to innovation?
Yeah, thank you. I think that the point is that the corporate policy change on the mindset or the corporate culture and the budget and human resource management. The Japanese fintech financial industry pay a lot of their expenditure on to maintain the incumbent the infrastructure. But some famous fintech guys say all company turn to be an IT company. So we have to keep it in mind to spend over the half of our budget and the human resources into the IT because the IT is the leading sector to change the game of the Japanese financial industry. So how to make some money for the investment of the future policy change. That's the point of the current Japanese financial industry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Spending the necessary budgets are our first step in this direction. Moshe, what kind of mistakes that corporations should be careful of from doing? Because spending money is very important, and obviously nominating the right people, and sometimes maybe taking risks and exploring pilots and proof of concepts with startups. That's all very important. But sometimes corporations, they have difficulties dealing with startups, right? It's a different mindset, a different maybe time from one step to the other. So do you have any tips? Maybe a question for so Jima-san, tips for corporations.
That's a very good point for the Japanese company. They have to overcome their weak point. The weak point is that they try to succeeded in the perfect. Yes, they aim to the perfect success, but the try and error is required for the challenges. So there's a new room to accept the trial and to find the new the profit the field to find the new business model. So we need the culture shift in the mindset.
It's interesting because when you look at financial services as a whole, and especially insurance company and banking, these companies have been built on, they are experts in managing risks. That's their business. And when you come to innovation, you have to manage opportunities. You don't have to manage risks. And the people mindset, again, not talking about innovation, talking about mindset of people, they are managing risks. So for them, if they see 10, if I'm coming to the CEO of Google with 10 opportunities, he will say, okay, 9 will fail, 1 will succeed. What are the chances that the 1 will succeed will make me the next slip? While if you go to an insurance board and you show 10 options, 9 will succeed and 1 will fail, or the discussion will be what the impact of this failure on our balance sheet. So first, it's taking a more approach of, I don't want to take out risk taking because nobody wants to take risk, but look at opportunities. The second thing, the financial services globally, but I think also in Japan more specifically, has been built over decades on internal capabilities and building things inside. And now when we look for the outside, and there are companies that are digitally native, they are experts in their territory. And for me, the one that will partner with those companies early as possible will gain a significant value over time. There will be some failures, there will be some challenges, but the early adopters will be the winners in that space.
Certainly. We're almost, our time's almost up, but one last question maybe for both of you. So we are still in the midst of the global pandemic. And this has obviously influenced all industries across the globe. How do you think that digital transformation in the financial sector is going to be affected, or maybe already is affected by the pandemic? The fact that people are, is it a positive catalyzer for digital transformation, would you say?
Yeah, it's a very serious accident, but it could be the driving force for the digitalized, the social digitalization. The consumers' behavior, as well as the corporate behavior, totally change given the digitalization, and we should look at the COVID-19 event as a chance for the digital society.
So this name, Moshe.
Yeah, so I, to my opinion, if I'm looking at some positive impact of this pandemic, definitely was as a positive impact on the digital transformation of financial institution, especially financial institution that has been built for many, many years on personal touch. And either it's consultants, either it's advisors, it's agents or bank brokers. And they realize that in a period of purely digital, if they don't empower those channels and advisors to work digitally, actually they are blocked. So in some perspective, the whole world of either you go direct to the consumer or you're going with an intermediate has been somehow shifting. We need to enable much more digital services for our clients at the last mile. And I think that will definitely, we already see it with some of our customers already accelerating the transformation and implementation of projects that sometimes could take 2 to 3 years just to plan and go with. Now in less than 12 months are already in piloting and POCs.
Okay, very good. Well, I feel like we could have talked for much longer. But we still have some other agenda items on the coming up with 3 more presentations, and then I hope that you will all stay with us for the breakout rooms and engage with the Israeli companies. So thank you very much again, Sejima-san and Moshe-san, and please stay with us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. ありがとうございました。
Thank you. ありがとうございました。
副島様、モシェさん、ダニエルさん、Thank you very much for your interesting discussion. それでは次に、イスラエルフィンテック企業のピッチへと再び移らせていただきたいと思います。それでは、不正検知サービスを提供するページラント社より ZIIN コーエンさん、よろしくお願いします。ZIIN さん、rise yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is ZIIN Cohen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PageLand, which specializes in frictionless mobile banking and payments fraud prevention. So we've been in the cybersecurity and anti-fraud space for many years, working with banks and other types of companies, helping them prevent fraud, because fraud is clearly all over the place. With PageLand, what we actually decided to do following many years of developing products for banks around fraud and authentication. Sorry for that. I know this is not my presentation. Okay, hopefully you can see it right now. So following many years of working with banks, PageLand is all about the new banking landscape, because banking and payment has changed, especially due to COVID. We've all talked about it, and acceleration of COVID towards mobile banking, cashless and cardless. And this requires completely different thinking, because there are different threats that are actually emerging against banks. So since everybody today uses mobile to pay in-store, online, transfer money, do P2P transactions, then there are new channels and new customers. So when people on board for the first time, it means that the banks do not have any prior understanding, information, or history about our activities. So they see the mobile for the first time, they see the users for the first time, and this, of course, makes it very, very difficult and challenging for them to make decisions whether this is a fraudster or a legitimate customer. Taking over and stealing credentials, identities, using fake accounts, synthetic identity, cross-banking fraud, and it goes on and on. So fraud is definitely on the rise with the new banking and payment channels. And as a result of that, there is a need to look at differently and come with a product or a solution that could, on one hand, very effectively address the use cases related to that and ensure that money is not lost to fraud attacks. But on the other hand, together with preventing fraud, we also need to look at the user's experience, because friction is too high today. And in order to enable the growth, there is a need to reduce the friction. The PIN codes, passwords, SMSs, OTPs, these need to be reduced and balanced. And that's exactly what we did at PageLand. We've designed and developed a solution which balances these two. in a very seamless manner. Here is the banks or the payments app. You link it to the PageLand box with a very easy and quick integration, and you get it all out of the box automatically. What's in the box are 6 innovative intelligence sets that take into account all the aspects that are required to distinguishing between a legitimate customer and a fraudster. And these include the analysis and identification of the devices, so unique signatures of each and every one of the devices so that we can recognize them when they return. Linking to that, the user's behavior. How do we hold the phone? How do we touch it? How do we press it? How fast do we scroll? What is our unique environment? Because each and every one of us has a unique environment when we use our devices to bank and to pay and transfer money. And of course, what is our spending habits? Who do we transfer to? The amount, the time, the location, the payee, the payer, the card ID, and so on and so forth. This is all ingested into the PageLand system. And that's the reason why it is extremely accurate, so that when we connect using our devices and we continuously make transactions and payments, the system detects and identifies that this is really us, legitimate people, and as a result of that, there is no need to bother with any additional friction-based authentication, so that the transaction can be completed safely with the highest level of user experience. While on the other hand, in case nothing matches, because we see that these are fraudulent devices and connections and behavior and transactions and stolen cards, we can indicate on a very high risk activity, and of course recommend that the bank or the payment company blocks it before money leaves the account. So the company has gone through quite a journey. Our products are already used by various banks all around the world and fintech companies. Japan is actually one of the markets that we started working in just last year. We were honored to be selected and win the first prize of the Tokyo Financial Award. And this opened up lots of opportunities in Japan. We are currently in a process of establishing our presence in Japan, working with Plug and Play as well, CNBC, and many other banks in the country. And we are actually looking at all the required arrangements in order to ensure that more and more Japanese companies will be able to benefit from PageLand's technology. Thank you very much.
ズイーブさん、ありがとうございました。それでは次に、エバーシー社の、ロン・タイチャーさん、よろしくお願いします。ロンさん、The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us. It's a pleasure to be invited to speak in front of all of you. Wanted to introduce you to Eversea. Eversea, we do what we do because we want to create crime-free internet where people and organizations can easily and safely identify opportunities for growth. We started at around 2015. We work with mostly with the payments industry across North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. Over 100 customers, some of the top payment players in the world. We're honored to partner with. We started with dealing with what we call transaction laundering. Transaction laundering is actually the evolution of money laundering into e-commerce. What happens is in regular e-commerce, as you see in the mafia movies, terrorists or the criminals take over a business in order to take their crime money and push it through that legitimate business so that they can pull it back as if it was clean money. That's what happens in regular money laundering. What happens in e-commerce, that you can do exactly the same, except it's far easier to do, it's much cheaper to do, and the risk of getting caught is dropping dramatically because now you can funnel your money through 1,000 businesses. Instead of taking over the restaurant or the nail salon or the garage, you're building 1,000 websites overnight. It's not going to cost you anything. And now you're funneling your crime money through 1,000 businesses and really flying under the radars of everything that's trying to catch you. So the typical scenario is I'm a drug dealer. I have my website to sell illegal goods or services. I open up a legitimate merchant account with a PSP or payment facilitator that seems to be legitimate, or as we said, 10 or 100. And then I just, accept the payments on my bad website and then funnel these payments through the legitimate website as if these were legitimate payments. And what happens is that both the payment organization at the bank at the end of the channel are really facilitating crime money. This could be drugs, could be, any other type of crime. There are two main drivers. I'm not going to talk too much about it. One is actually the fintech revolution, right? The payment system proliferation. The payment system became much more complex, a lot more players in the mix. It used to be very simple, a merchant in a bank. Now we have all the different types of payment facilitators and money movers and buy now, pay later and peer-to-peer and you name it. It's much harder to understand where the transaction starts and where it ends. So a much more complex system. The second is the micro merchant phenomena. So anybody can become a merchant or 100 overnight, and that creates a huge overload on anybody who needs to do underwriting. And the combination of this data overload with a much more complex system really creates the conditions for really bad actors to smuggle into the system with the rest of the good ones. So as we said, transaction laundering is the evolution of money laundering online into e-commerce. Eversea deals with this issue by developing proprietary technology, 3 or 4 really main giant obstacles that we needed to overcome in order to help payments organization across the world to deal with this problem. One is really the collection of everything that exists on the internet. So we're looking today at over 650 million top-level domains, billions of subdomains, and trillions of data endpoints that are managing the database. Second is once we collect everything, we need to classify everything. Here we have a massive effort of AI and machine learning for auto-classification of everything that we see online. Third is then we deep crawl into each of those entities and extract important pieces of data. And lastly, we basically connect the dots and able to expose risk that wouldn't be otherwise possible without applying all these efforts. We currently have 2 main products. One is Merchant View, which is focusing on what I just described. It is the basically anybody in the payments system from the card networks themselves through the acquiring banks, through any type of PSP, gateways, processors, and so on, all the way to merchants who are payment facilitators and to help them address situation of potential transaction laundering. Second product is much more focused for online marketplaces. We were very surprised as we were engaging with the market to discover that online marketplaces really don't know what they're selling on the platforms. And so we took our classification capability that we developed for our original product and really took it a level up to product level classification. And we today, scan billions and billions of products a year, protecting very big marketplaces, helping them identify illegal products from drugs, guns, prescription drugs, all the way to IP infringement and so on. This is, in a nutshell, what we do, and I really like to hope to see some of you in the breakout session. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ron-san. Thank you. それでは最後にメインフレーム API 作成プラットフォームを提供するオープンレガシー社の内田正彦様、よろしくお願いします。内田さん、よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いいたします。画面の方ご覧いただけてますでしょうか。
大丈夫です。
はい。So I wanna speak in Japanese for my presentation. So those who are waiting to have the English presentation, please let organizer to know. to set up another meeting. Thank you very much. それではここから、オープンレガシーのご紹介をさせていただきたいと思います。私、オープンレガシーの日本法人代表しております内田と申します。よろしくお願いいたします。このタイトルスライドに書いてございます通り、私ども何をやっている会社かといいますと、レガシー、それからマイクロサービスをはじめとしたオープン系のアプリケーション、これらをつなぐ API、これを10倍高速に開発ができるというローコードツールでございます。私ども2013年に創業しまして、現在150名ほどで事業を展開しております。おかげさまでお客様、毎年倍増のペースで増えさせていただいております。この日本におきましては、島根銀行様、こちらがですね、すでに本稼働を見ておられます。その他にも複数社お客様が現在 POC を完了したところといった状況になってございます。で、このオープンレガシーを皆様方にご案内したい理由というところがこのスライドに書き連ねてございます。日本の金融業界におけるエンドトゥエンドの DX 構築の難しさと、ちょっといささか大冗談な話ではございますけれども、バックエンド系、機関系、勘定系、こちらの方、今どういうことが課題になっているのかということで言いますと、レガシーシステム、こちらは数多く存在をし、現役稼働をしておりますと。これはすなわち、レガシーのままでいることが合理的であるからそこにあるということであります。一方で、やはりこのレガシーの技術者という方々はどんどんと減少傾向にもあります。それからシステムズインテグレーターさん、こちらの方にお力を借りるというケースも多いんではなかろうかと思いますので、現在のバックログ、こちらの方に追われてなかなかフィンテック、あるいは DX 側の要求に応えるのが難しいんではないかということを考えております。また、日本の場合は、古くからファイル転送、こういった仕組みがきちんとそこに備わっておりましたので、一旦レガシー系からオープン系に切り出しをして、そこを分散系あるいは DX に開放していると。これすなわち真のリアルタイムにはなっていないというところが課題になるかと思います。また、レガシーシステムの API 開発、これは常に複雑であり困難である。さらに、先ほど副島様のお話にもございました通り、失敗のない API を作るということになりますと、非常に長い開発期間、テスト期間を要求されるといったことになろうかと思います。一方で、フィンテックの側からしたら、なるだけ共通性を持った API、こちらを自由自在につないでいただいてサービスをどんどん活用してほしいと、こういう願いがあるということは当然であろうかと思います。そこでオープンレガシーなんでございますけれども、この API、レガシーとオープンをつなぐ API を一気に開発をする API ファクトリーとしての役割、ここを担いたいと思っております。左側にございますのが、私どもが作り付けですでに持っておりますレガシー側のコネクター群でございます。このレガシーとオープンレガシーシステムからどのような形で切り出してくるのかということに関しては、私どもで特許技術を保有しております、リモートプロシジャーコール、あるいはスクリーンのスクレーピング、こちらを使いまして、ダイレクトにレガシーの側からのインターフェースを切り出します。そしてそれをリポジトリの中に格納をし、例えば再利用のできる部品化をして、レガシー API の開発期間をうんと短縮するといったところが狙いとなってございます。結果として、実際に開発工数が非常に削減できますので、サービスの投入速度、あるお客様の事例では 86% 高速化、それに伴い開発コスト 92% 低減、そしてシンプルな構造で API、ここをトランザクション流していきますので、API 性能も 30% 高速化、メンテナンス、こちらも私どもの方が担保させていただきますので、ROI を極小化して投資回収が12ヶ月で終わったと、こういった事例もございます。詳しいお話、また別途の B2B ミーティング、それからこの後のブレイクアウトの方でお話をさせていただきたいと思いますので、どうぞご興味をお持ちいただきましたら、お立ち寄りをいただければと思います。ありがとうございました。
内田様、ありがとうございました。イスラエル企業のピッチは以上です。本日はご清聴ありがとうございました。イスラエル企業との質疑応答はウェビナー終了後のミートアップで行いますので、ぜひご参加いただけますようお願いいたします。 また、1対1の B2B ミーティングの方も希望の方はヘイブの方にご連絡ください。それでは最後に、金融庁フィンテック室、松澤翔太様より閉会の言葉をいただきたいと思います。松澤様、よろしくお願いします。
Hi, thank you, Nemoto-san. Hello, I'm Shota Matsuzawa, Deputy Director of the Fintech and Innovation Office of JFSA. Thank you, Israel Economic and Trade Mission in Japan and the Israel Export Institute and the JETRO for organizing this meaningful event. Especially thank you, Nemoto-san, for your contribution to make this event happen. JFSA believes the interaction between the domestic financial players and the foreign fintech companies is an important step to improve the customer experience by using the proven technology. I hope today's participant from Japan side will make use of this event opportunity to gather more information on overseas fintech trends, which will lead to the provision of higher quality of financial services. To Israel fintech companies, thank you for your participation today. We are looking forward to hearing more from you at the Part 2 online meetup session later. One thing, let me introduce the JFSA Fintech Support Desk. Fintech Support Desk provides a one-stop contact point for the inquiries to JFSA from fintech companies. We try prompt completion of the consultations within 5 business days on average, such as the legal clarification and the provision of the guidance on individual cases. For more detail, please check the JFSA website. Anyway, let's enjoy the Part 2 online meetup. Back to you, Nemoto-san, for the Part 2 guidance. Thank you.
松澤様、ありがとうございました。それでは、ミートアップイベントの方に移らさせていただきたいと思います。参加者の皆様は、こちらのブレイクアウトルームのすみません。こちらですね。こちらのブレイクアウトルームのアイコン、もしくは詳細の方からブレイクアウトルームを選択し、こちらのウィンドウを開いてください。こちらのリストの中からご興味のある企業を選択してご参加ください。Zoom の使用環境によってアイコンなどが表示されない場合がございます。その際はメインセッションの方にて私の方にご相談ください。じゃあそれでは、